Hi guys, good night to you. So tonight I'm gonna talk about Judas Iscariot, how he plot to kill Jesus backfired. But rather than me telling you the story, I think it's just best for me to read from the Gospel of Barnabas. The story is very critical story. Maybe if you hear it, you may believe it, or you don't believe it. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the story of a man trying to kill Jesus is very interesting story. So if you are a Christian, you should listen to this story, because Jesus is something that you regard as someone important to you. So I'm talking about Jesus. The time to kill Jesus. So let me read. Okay, it's the book Gospel of Barnabas. If you have this book, you want to read yourself, no problem. I can give you the page that I will read. I think page 273, chapter 214. Okay, guys, let me start reading. Having gone forth from the house, Jesus retired into the garden to pray, according to his custom way to pray, bowing his knees 100 times, straightening himself. Upon his face, Judas, accordingly knowing the place where Jesus was with his disciples, went to the high priest and said, "If you will give me what was promised, this night will I give into your hand Jesus, whom you seek, for he is alone with 11 companions." The priest answered, How much seekest thou? How much seekest thou? Said Judas, 30 pieces of gold. Then straightway the high priest counted into him the money, and sent a Pharisee to the governor to fetch soldiers, and to Herod they kept a legion of them, because they feared the people. Wherefore they took their arms with torches and lanterns, upon staffs, went out of Jerusalem, so plotting to kill Jesus or to arrest Jesus. When the soldiers with Judas drew to the place where Jesus was, Jesus heard the approach of many people, wherefore in fear he withdrew into the house. And they 11 was sleeping. Then God, seeing the danger of his servant, commanded Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, these are the angels, his ministers, to take Jesus out of the world. For these 4 angels are there, the leader of the angels, the ministers of angels. The holy angel came and took Jesus out by the window that forsake toward the south. They bear him and place him in the 3rd heaven. So Jesus was taken to the 3rd heaven. The company of angels blessing God forevermore. Judas entered impetuously before all into the chamber when Jesus had been taken up and the disciples were sleeping, whereupon the wonderful God acted wonderfully, in so much that Judas was so changed in speech and in face to be like Jesus, that we believe him. Even the writer of the Gospel of Barnabas, so he said, we believe him to be Jesus. And he, having awakened us, was seeking where the master was, found. We marveled and answered, Thou, Lord, art our master, thou now forgotten us. And he smiled and said, Now you are foolish. They know not me to be Judas Iscariot. And as he was saying this, the soldiery entered and laid their hand upon Judas, because he was in every way like Jesus, like to Jesus. We having heard Judas saying, seeing the multitude of soldiers fled as beside ourselves. Or the writer of this Gospel of Barnabas, one of the disciples, and all the disciples just fled, ran away. And John, who was wrapped in a linen cloth, awoke and fled. When a soldier seized him by the linen cloth, he left the linen cloth and fled naked. For God heard the prayer of Jesus and saved the 11 from evil. So his 11 disciples were saved. None of them were arrested. The soldiers took Judas and bound him, not without derision, for he truly denied he was Jesus. And the soldiers, mocking him, said, Sir, fear not, for we come to make thee king of Israel. We have bound thee because you know that thou dost refuse the kingdom Judas answered, "Now have you lost your senses? You come to take Jesus of Nazareth with arms and lantern as against robbers. You have bound me that have gathered you to make me king." Then the soldiers lost their patience. With blows and kicks they began to flout Judas, and they led him with fury into Jerusalem. John and Peter followed the soldiers after off. They affirmed to him who write that they saw all the examination that was made of Judas by the high priest and by the council of Pharisees who were assembled to put Jesus to death. Whereupon Judas spake many words of madness, insomuch that everyone was filled with laughter, believing that he was really Jesus. For fear of death he was feigning madness. Whereupon the scribes bound his eye with bandage, mocking him, said, "Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth." If so, they called them who believe in Jesus, "Tell us, who was it that smote thee?" And they buffeted him and spat in his face. When it was morning, three assembled the great council of scribes and elders of the people and high priests with the Pharisees sought false witness against Judas, believing him to be Jesus. They found not that which they sought. And why say I said that the chief priests believed Judas to be Jesus? Nay, all the disciples with him who right believe it, and the poor virgin mother of Jesus with his kinsfolk and friends believe it, inasmuch the sorrow of everyone was incredible. As God lived, he who right forget all that Jesus has said, how that he should be taken up from the world, and that he should suffer in third person, and that he should not die until near the end of the world. Wherefore he went with the mother of Jesus and with John to the cross. The high priest caused Judas to be brought before him, bound, and asked him of his disciple and his doctrine. Whereupon Judas, as though beside himself, answered nothing to the point. The high priest then adjured him by he being God of Israel that he would tell him the truth. Judas answered, "I have told you that I am Judas Iscariot, who promised to give you hands of Jesus the Nazarene. And ye by the art, I know not beside yourself, for you will brave, you will have it by very mean, that I am Jesus." The high priest answered, "O perverse seducer, thou hast deceived all Israel, beginning from Galilee. even into Jerusalem here by thy doctrine and false miracle. And now thinkest thou to flee and merited the punishment that befitted thee by feigning to be mad? As God lives, thou shalt not escape it. And having said this, he commanded the servant to smite him with buffeting and kick, so that his understanding might come back into his head. The derision which he then suffered at the hands of the high priest servant is past belief. For they zealously devised, attired him as a juggler, and so treated him with hands and feet, that it would have moved the very Canaanites to compassion if they had beheld that sight. But the chief of priests and elders of the people had their heart so exasperated against Jesus, believing Judas to be really Jesus, they took delight in seeing him so treated. Afterward, they led him bound to the governor, who secretly loved Jesus. Whereupon he, thinking that Judas was Jesus, made him enter into his chamber and spake to him, asking him for what cause the chief of priests and the people had given him into his hands. Judas answered, If I tell thee the truth, thou wilt not believe me, for perchance thou deceive as the chief priests and the Pharisees are deceived. The governor answered, thinking he wished to speak concerning the law, Now knowest thou not that I am not Jew, but the chief priests and the elders of thy people, that I may do what is just, for I have power to set thee free and to put thee to death. Okay, let me finish reading this chapter. Judas answered, So believe me, for thou put me to death. Thou shalt do a great wrong, for thou shalt slay an innocent person, seeing that I am Judas Iscariot, not Jesus, who is a magician by his art, has so transformed me. When he heard this, the governor marveled greatly, so that he sought to him at the liberty. The governor therefore went out smiling and said, In the one case at least this man is not worthy of death, but rather of compassion. This man said the governor, that he is not Jesus, but a certain Judas. Who guided the soldiery to take Jesus and be with death. And he said that Jesus the Galilean, as by his art magic so transformed him. Therefore, if this is true, it were wrong to kill him, saying that he were innocent. But if it's Jesus, and deny that he is, also he has lost understanding if it were impious to slay a madman. Then the chief priests and elders of the people with the scribes and Pharisees cried out with a shout, saying, "He is Jesus of Nazareth, for we know him. For if he were not the malefactor, he would not have given him into thy hands. Nor is he mad, but rather malignant, for which this device he seek to escape from our hand, and the sedition that he would stir up, if he would escape, would be worse than the former." Pilate, for such as the governor named, in order to rid himself of such a case, said, "He is a Galilean, and Herod is the king of Galilee. Wherefore it is pertinent not to me to judge such a case. So take him to Herod." Accordingly, they led Judas to Herod. Of long time, a desire that Jesus should go to his house, but Jesus had never been willing to go to his house, because Herod was a Gentile and adored the false, laying God, living after the manner of unclean Gentiles. Now when Judas has been led thither, Herod asked him for many things. But Judas gave the answer not to the purpose, denying that he was Jesus. Then Herod mocked him with all the court and caused him to be clad in white, as the fool are clad, and sent him back to Pilate, saying to him, "Do not fail in justice to the people of Israel." And this Herod wrote because the chief priests and the scribes and the Pharisees had given him good quantity of money. The governor, having heard this, saw from the servant of Herod, in order that also might gain some money, feigned, and he desired to set Judas at liberty. Where found, he caused him to be scourged by his slave, who were paid by the scribe, to slay him under the scourges. But God, who had decreed the issue, reserved Judas for the cross, in order that he might suffer the horrible death to which he had sold another. He did not suffer Judas to die under the scourge, notwithstanding that the soldiers scourged him so grievously that his body ran blood. Thereupon, in mockery, they clad him in an old purple garment, saying, "It is fitting to our new king to be clothed him and crown him." So they gathered thorns, made a crown like those of gold and precious stone which king wear on their head. And this crown form they placed upon Judas' head, putting his hand a wreath of scepter, they made him sit in a high place, and the soldiers came before him, bowing down in mockery, saluting him as King of the Jews. And they held out their hand to receive gift as new king are accustomed to give and receiving nothing. They smote Judas, saying, "Now how art thou crowned foolish king? Thou wilt not pay the soldiers and the servants." The chief priests with the scribe and Pharisees, seeing that Judas died not by scourges, and fearing lest Pilate should let him at liberty, made a gift of money to the governor, who, having received it, gave Judas to the scribes. And Pharisees as guilty unto death. Whereupon they condemned two robbers with him to the death of the cross. So they led him to the Mount of Calvary, where they had used to hang malefactors. There they crucified him naked, for greater ignominy. Judas truly did nothing else but cry out, "God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Seeing the malefactor escape, as I die unjustly. So I read this again because this sentence also appear in the Canonical Bible, but it was modified. He says here God, but Canonical Bible says Father, why thou forsaken me? But in this original Gospel of Barnabas, Judas did nothing else but cry out, "God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Seeing the malefactor had escaped, and I die unjustly. Verily I say that the voice, the face, and the person of Judas was so like to Jesus that his disciples and believers entirely believed that he was Jesus, wherefore some departed from the doctrine of Jesus, believing that Jesus had been false prophet, and by art magic he had done the miracle which he did. For Jesus had said that he should not die till the end of the world, and for that time he should be taken away from the world. But they had stood firm, in the doctrine of Jesus, so encompassed with sorrows. Seeing him die was entirely like to Jesus, that they remember what Jesus had said. And so the company of mother of Jesus, they went to Mount Calvary and not only present at the death of Judas, weeping continually, but by means of Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea, they obtained from the governor the body of Jesus. to bury. However, they took him down from the cross with such weeping as utterly no one believed, and buried him in the new sepulchre, being wrapped up in 100 pounds of precious ointments. So this is the real story that the body of Judas was given the body of Jesus was given to the mother of Jesus, Mary. We didn't know it was Judas, and they performed burial wrapped in hundreds of pounds of precious ointments. Okay, guys, I think that's all I want to read out today. Thank you very much for listening.